Tonight, the Flames will close out the 2024-2025 season. And just how did it go for our Flames?
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I am your host, Jess Belmosto, and thank you so much for joining me. Today, we are going to talk about the end of the season. It's here tonight. The Flames face off against the Los Angeles Kings in LA for Game 82, and it is kind of bittersweet that this year has already come and gone. We'll dive into that and then what the rumor mill is already turning out here on Locked On Flames. Make sure you are subscribed wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your team every day. And let's talk about LA because, wow, it is Game 82. We made it through the season. The team made it through the season. It was one heck of a roller coaster. And tonight, the kids are in. Jonathan Huberdeau, Martin Pospisil, Kevin Rooney, Rasmus Andersson, Jake Bean, and Joel Hanley are all out this evening. That means Parekh, Suniev, Morton, and Hunter Brustewicz will all be in the lineup for the Flames tonight, which is super exciting. It was actually kind of cool. They all did their solo lap and then came together for, I guess, a fifth lap and skated together, which was pretty neat. I don't know. It's like little things like that make those little traditions kind of extra special when there's multiple of you. But I think that this is good. We knew that it would likely be Game 82 when the Flames finally saw Parekh and Suniev. Don't really think anyone fully expected Sam Morton or Hunter Brustewicz to necessarily make the jump and play their first NHL games tonight, and that's not a bad thing. I don't think it was really on anyone's radar. And I don't know if the Flames really had it on their radar until they saw how abysmal Jake Bean and Joel Hanley were in the game against Vegas. But regardless, this is great. It's a step in the right direction. Obviously, it's the end of the season. There's nothing at stake here. Do I think they would be playing if tonight mattered for them to make the playoffs? No, I don't. I think maybe you would see Parekh depending on the situation, but it's just kind of like a rite of passage for these young kids. I remember, Dustin Wolf did it a few years ago, Matt Coronado, and then, it's part of the game, but every shift that they take tonight, regardless of their ice time, this is a step in a positive direction because this is, their audition partially for next year. There's nowhere to really go immediately after this, but it is still forward progress. Getting these kids into the lineup, getting them an NHL rep before the season ends, kind of putting that confidence in them before the offseason, saying, hey, we think that it could be a fun trial period for you next season, depending on, not just how tonight goes, obviously, because there's a lot of time between now and camp, but, we're putting a little faith in you ahead of this. And I think that should be reassuring for the young guys. And, maybe Jake Bean will request a trade. No, I'm just kidding. But I do think that it's a big moment for these guys. Let's be honest. This is something that they all worked their whole life for, that they've been dreaming of since they were 3 years old. And it's finally happening on such a cool stage in LA, honestly. It'd be different if it was Winnipeg or something. Winnipeg's actually the best team. So let's I don't know. like Carolina, I guess. But Dan Vladar starts tonight. Dustin Wolf finally gets a break. He would not be starting if this was, if the Flames were still in contention tonight. It would be Wolf, and there's no doubt about that. But I think the message for tonight, like, yes, of course, you want to win. Put your best foot forward, but have fun. If you can't have fun, you're going to make your job and your life a lot more difficult. I think it's important to remember, while this is their job, it shouldn't be as stressful or suck the life out of you like a 9 to 5. It should be fun, energizing. You're working hard like us 9 to 5 folk, but you just play for 3 hours a night, or not even 3 hours. I mean, yeah, of course, practice and stuff, but it's a very different type of stress, I guess. But expectations are low. Go out there, have fun. Don't do anything that is going to obviously put you at risk for an injury or make a stupid hit or anything like that. It's really not worth it. But just go out, have fun, and remember that it's just a game. And we'll come back in October for the season opener, and it'll be a clean slate. Just put a bow on it tonight, and regardless of how you feel about the outcome of this season, they made it, and that's great. But coming up next on Locked On Flames, we're going to talk about some signing some undrafted players that I think is great, and adding more NCAA kids to the Flames farm system is a very good step in the right direction here on Locked On Flames. The NBA playoffs are almost here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you will get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. I like how FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether it's picking my favorite team or diving into player props and maybe even creating a same game parlay. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine those live prop bets into a same game parlay for a big chance to win, or a chance to win big. From 3-pointers to steals to assists, FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We will be here daily for months to come through the offseason. So I hope you stick around and make Locked On Flames part of your day and your offseason. In all seriousness, though, thank you for making the show part of your day and your hockey season. I know there's a million podcasts out there to listen to, and I greatly appreciate you tuning in for my analysis, and it means a lot. But let's talk about some recent signings and developments. I think that signing undrafted college kids is cool. And that sounds so simple and so basic, but I feel like it's very easy to root for them. They're the underdog, the unsung heroes. The scouts see something in them that, maybe didn't necessarily work out at the draft, but when you don't have to turn in an asset for them, then, it's low risk, high reward sort of situation here. I always think of Torrey Krug when I think of undrafted college free agents because he went to Michigan State, smaller defenseman. He went undrafted. The Bruins signed him. And he had a great career in Boston before ultimately going to St. Louis. And pretty sure he's going to be forced to retire due to injury. But, to have someone come in that is underestimated because of their size, he did come a long way from playing out of position. And he was a more offensive defenseman. And he was pretty impactful for a lot of years. And hopefully that is what the Flames get with Carter King, Calgary native, who had 43 points in 44 games with the University of Denver. He captained this team to the final, or the Frozen Four national championship 3 out of 4 years. Just absolutely bananas. They won a national championship too, which is, I think, adds to obviously a player's resume and their accolades and whatnot, but it is not easy to get to that point, to play against all those high-level college D1 athletes and get to the Final Four and then win the championship, obviously, once you make it past the Final Four. But Carter King, like I mentioned, is a Calgary native. He is a forward that put up 21 goals with the University of Denver this year. He was on the Flames radar a little bit, I feel like, for the last month and a half or so, or at least rumblings of it. And it's super cool. It's a 1-year, 2-way contract for King, and this is an opportunity for the Flames to cash in, low risk, high reward situation. I think that this is a great opportunity for them to really make strides in their player development, because the more players you have from different developmental leagues, like the USHL, and with Coronado going and then eventually going to Harvard. So the NCAA, you have the OHL, the Q, the W, the X, the Y, the Z. I'm just kidding. But the more versatile talent and variety you have in your farm system, the more you have likely to stick, because it's not going to be, okay, like, here's all my OHL players that, they didn't go to, they played with young kids. They didn't play with Division I athletes, or they never got a chance to maybe take that step out of their comfort zone during development. And I think that college is that path for a lot of players, or really people in general, but because you're going up against top tier talent, and you might have to work a little bit harder, and there's nothing wrong with that. So congratulations, Carter, his contract is for next season. So we will have to see what the captain has in store for us Flames fans. And then in other developmental news, or development news, news development, if you will, I guess. Henry Muse, who the Flames drafted last year, played in the OHL, transferred to the University of Michigan. He said in a statement, "We all decided that this is what was best for my development." For those of you who don't know, the OHL allowed student or players to transfer to the NCAA. So not just the OHL, but the WHL as a whole. So I pulled up this press release from November 24th from the Kitchener Rangers, just on the NCAA eligibility rule change. Let's see. On behalf of the Ontario Hockey League, I'm excited to share the collective enthusiasm in expressed league-wide following the NCAA Division I Council's vote affirming the eligibility of Canadian Hockey League players for NCAA hockey programs, effective August 1st, 2025. This is a landmark decision that gives OHL players additional avenues and opportunities to pursue their hockey, academic, and life goals upon graduation from our league. It also opens the OHL's doors to talented young athletes with NCAA aspirations, providing them with the opportunity to take their game to the next level in the number one development league in the world. I think it's pretty cool, to have that opportunity to, you think of the guys that come out of college, right? Johnny Gaudreau, Jack Eichel, Cale Makar, Jack Hughes, Luke Hughes, still working, Macklin Celebrini, Will Smith. Like there are a variety of players that you are going to face that are going to be much better than the ones you were facing in the OHL. You're going to be challenged more. It's just great to see that there's more avenues for everyone, really, because how many players might divert their plan because, maybe they don't want to go to college at that moment, but they still want to play hockey, but it's still like that door isn't completely shut for them. And same thing where, okay, like I went into college hockey, but maybe, this door is open and maybe that's a path we take. Just exciting times all around. You love to see the growth of the game and especially development. I think it's really cool to watch, especially when you see these two powerhouses coming together. But coming up next, we're going to talk about the rumor mill because the puck just dropped for game 82 and the rumor mill is already red hot. Coming up next here on Locked On Flames. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe or sign in to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 as easily as you would stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. With 4K streaming, you can watch more than 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscribed services like Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Max, and more. Play high quality Xbox games at a fraction of the cost of a console. Already have a console? A Fire TV Stick 4K device is more affordable and easier to travel with, allowing you to take your games wherever you plug in. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube 3rd Gen. Thanks everyone for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you are following me on Twitter at JessBelmosto, so you never miss a beat. But like I mentioned before the break, the Flames are still playing a game, and the rumor mill for off-season departures has already started. It is so hard to believe that it is game 82, you guys. I feel like this season just started, and we were all expecting a very different outcome. But today, it was reported by Pat Steinberg reported on 960 today that the Flames are likely going to be moving on from Anthony Mantha and Joel Hanley. Anthony Mantha, let's talk about him first, because I think that this does stink a little bit. Mantha never really had a chance to prove himself or show really any real sustained showcase, I guess, because he ended up with tearing his ACL in early November. And that obviously sidelines you for a whole year. So, I mean, I get why they don't necessarily want to bring him back as a player. He's an older guy with, he'd still have rehab underneath him, and that contract would obviously take up a roster spot, and you might have some young promising guys that, they might be more beneficial to have them in the lineup than Anthony Mantha. But I thought they would maybe bring him back for depth, maybe anchor a line with some kids maybe, or just kind of, I don't know how he would feel about being an extra forward, at least to probably start the season for a little bit, especially with or not even just start the season, but really when he comes back from his injury, whenever that might be, assuming it's probably, middle of November before that happens. But my issue here is parting with Joel Hanley, not because I think Joel Hanley is an excellent defenseman that the Flames need to hang on to, and it's, a travesty they're moving on from him. They had the opportunity to trade him at the deadline. Okay? Number one, I said it back when this was happening, around the deadline, before and after. Joel Hanley is not a top 4 defenseman. He might be in Calgary because of how little depth there is, but he should not be out on the ice for 16, 18 minutes a night. There's just no reason for it. He is not at that caliber, which we saw. It has been on full display, especially in the game against Vegas. Someone, I forget who it was, but they called him Hand Grenade Hanley, and I haven't stopped laughing since. But it is kind of not great asset management, because once again, you could have traded him, and you obviously weren't getting a first round pick for Joel Hanley, but you could have added to your stockpile, whether it be this year's draft or next year's draft. It's not, it doesn't look great in hindsight, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Because, 6 weeks ago, they were talking about extending Joel Hanley, and now there's nothing. Like, oh yeah, we're just going to let him walk. Okay. I guess you just kind of have to play your cards a little bit closer to your chest, I would say, if you are the Flames, and if you don't want things getting out, maybe don't talk to certain people. Just an idea. But this is also good because it allows a spot for, maybe Zayne Parekh to slot in, reconfigure some pairings there and get something going. But ultimately, poor asset management once again. Craig Conroy, this is technically your third offseason with the team. Maybe we've had enough time to learn from other things. I don't know. It's so hard to tell because again, we're not in the thick of it day in and day out. So we're just here observing like backseat drivers, armchair GMs. But that'll do it for me here on today's episode of Locked On Flames. Thank you all so much for joining me today and any point throughout the season. It is hard to believe Game 82 is here. I appreciate you. If you've ever listened to the show with friends or you've recommended it, or if you just enjoy it yourself, thank you very much. I hope to see you back here during the off season because I'll be here creating daily content for you to help get you through the off season drought. But until then, stay safe, stay warm, stay dry, stay cool, stay hydrated, and remember to be kind.